Gosh, this time of year, it is no secret. It is like hot, cold, back and forth. And
what do I
wear? Confusing. Yes. We're here with Renee from LCS Heating and Cooling. Thank you for inviting us back to your home.
Yes, welcome. Thank you for being here today.
Yes, this time of year is confusing, especially in the Midwest, because literally we've had like 75-degree days, and then we have 40-degree days, and I'm hot, but then I'm cold, so let me turn the fireplace on, but yet it feels like the air's on. It's also confusing. So we're here with you to get some pro tips.
Yeah, nobody's put their coats away yet, I'll tell you that.
No,
so,
not me.
You know what, we're in a place in the Midwest where it can be relatively cool outside, but the humidity can be really high. So sometimes we have days where it's comfortable outside, that's 70 degrees or so, but it's really uncomfortable inside. So especially if the sun's streaming in through the windows, maybe there's a part of your home, like the upstairs in a two-story home, that gets hotter a little bit quicker than the rest of the home.
Oh yeah.
And it just becomes really uncomfortable. And so people want to turn their air conditioner on, and sometimes they'll turn their thermostat down to 66, 67, 68 degrees.
Right. Which is why we're over here, because you have to be kind of conscious of that, because there is humidity when you think maybe it's the heat.
Yes, 100%. And so really the only fix for this is a whole home dehumidifier.
Okay.
So when the temperature is 70 degrees outside, it's not hot enough for the air conditioner to run long enough to remove all the humidity and make your home as comfortable as you want it to be, right? Only a dehumidifier can do that.
Okay.
So sometimes you'll see people with dehumidifiers in their homes. A whole home dehumidifier will take care of that for you. Now, think about this too. There's a lot of homes that are covered with shade. So a lot of trees come over, it creates like a canopy over their home.
Sure.
Well, they never have that sun kind of beating down on their homes like everybody else does.
I know. Windows here.
See, it's completely sunny outside, but you'll see I don't have sun just streaming in through this window, right? And so it keeps the temperature relatively cool. But I'll tell you this, upstairs, it can get really warm and uncomfortable. It affects your sleep, all of those things.
We have that because my bedroom and the kids' bedrooms are upstairs. And as the temperatures, as it gets further and it gets warmer, it does get confusing because it's fine down here, but yet at night especially, it's so hot. But then I turn it down, then I'm freezing.
Down here, yes. And then you have your fireplace back on, you've got a coat or a hoodie on. Yeah, it's usually a humidity issue this time of year, right? So as we get into later in May, June, July, it's a temperature issue as well.
Sure.
But right now it's a humidity issue. So when we had a whole home dehumidifier installed in our home, we actually didn't turn the air conditioner on for the first time until June.
Oh, wow.
It was so comfortable.
How do you know if your home needs one of those?
Travis's tip that he always gives, on your thermostat, if you keep your thermostat set at 66, 67, even 68 degrees, you probably have a little bit of a humidity issue. And so you're trying to lower that temperature because it's uncomfortable, but that's too, you walk into a home that's 67 degrees, it's chilly, right? It might feel good for a second when you're coming out of the sun, but it's not really comfortable. That's not a comfortable temperature for most people.
Let me ask you this, because this is where I get confused. The other night, it's cold outside. And so I walk in and I turn the fireplace on because I'm freezing. So I'm feeding the baby, and all of a sudden I feel the vent, and there's cold air coming out. My husband comes in, and I said, "Why is there cold air out of the vent?" And he said, "Well, we've got it. It's on the auto
it's
control,
like an auto
but
transition.
he's like, because you turned on the fireplace, now it's colder." I said, "But I was cold because that's why. So that's why I turned on the fireplace."
But your air conditioner
kicked
on. Yes. So that is a setting on thermostats so then you don't have to worry about it. So say you set your thermostat at 68 degrees, okay? Your system is going to either heat or cool until it gets to 68 degrees. So if it crept up to maybe 69, your air conditioner is going to come on to bring it back down to 68. If it drops down to 67, your furnace is going to come on to bring it back up to 68.
So do I keep it on that auto, or do you keep it separate?
Here's what's hard. We don't tell people don't use that feature because it's a cool feature to have, right? And it kind of takes away from having to think about anything.
Right.
The hard time this time of year.
Because the house can't read my mind.
Exactly. One day, I feel like maybe with AI in the future, who knows what's going to happen,
Amber's
right?
cold. Turn it up.
She's walking to the fireplace. Turn it up. This time of year, though, that can be tricky because if it's not quite warm enough outside, like we're talking 65 degrees or warmer, it's hard on your compressor for your air conditioner to be running.
So you got to think of that too.
You do. And I'm not the technical person, right? But there's things with the oil and everything and the way it flows back and forth and the temperature that needs to be outside on how it moves that affects the air conditioner. Now, it's a startup issue. It can be like as it shuts down issue. It's not going to be running in really long cycles when it's cooler outside because it's not going to take the air conditioner very long to cool your house. Does that make sense?
What are some of the biggest concerns or challenges that people face this time of year? Like, what kind of questions do you typically get?
We get the big question, like, my upstairs is so hot.
Yeah,
you know,
that's one
so
of the
there's a
bigger
couple
ones.
of things. There's solar powered attic fans that actually remove the heat from the attic, and it kind of takes that load off. Now, you're really going to notice that as it gets warmer outside. So think as we get in, especially into like May and the summer months, is it gets, the temperature rises, your attic heats up, all that heat is trapped up there, and it puts a load on that top floor, right?
Yeah.
So with a solar powered attic fan, we can remove that heat, that lessens that temperature swing. A whole home dehumidifier is a great solution for comfort. So it's not going to change the temperature, but it's going to really feel more comfortable in here, which is going to keep you from going to your thermostat, turning the air conditioner on.
Yeah, I feel like I'm always the person at night that I'm like, turn it down a couple of notches,
Yeah.
and then I wake up, turn it up a couple of notches.
Yeah.
Anything else for, especially our Facebook friends today? Maybe if they're watching, maybe they've got some comments coming through, but anything else that you'd like to add?
You know, this is a great time of year to just look at having a general tune-up done, right?
Yeah.
Ask questions. If you have a technician in your home, ask questions about that thermostat. Like the question that you just had is a great question to ask. You know, a lot of people don't think that temperature outside has anything to do with the way their air conditioner or furnace runs. And so there's a lot to learn with it. So get your tune-up done, make sure that your system's ready to go for summer, and ask any questions that you have about any piece of equipment, your thermostat, anything. So
you're saying I can put you on speed dial on my text message?
please do. LCS.
I love that.
Yes.
And LCSheatingandcooling.com is where you can find more. We'll put that link on lifestylelive.tv. Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here.
All right, bye Facebook.